Simulanka is sus, and here's why. Simulanka starts off in the Forest of Dreams. In the forest, you meet a flying squirrel and a frog tasked with saving the princess. This quest ends with the revelation that while everyone has their assigned roles and purposes in this world, you can choose your own path. You can act freely and literally change fate. Who assigned these roles and purposes to the people? The goddess of prophecy. Prophecy, huh? Sounds familiar. This actually happened in the art conquest of Fontaine, where Faucillard and Neuvillette had a prophecy to handle. Now that prophecy did come true, but they acted independently and actually changed the fate of the Fontainians by doing so. So who is the goddess of prophecy? Someone who assigns rules and purposes to people? Sounds a lot like the heavenly principles. What if Tevat is just a story in a fairy tale book written by the heavenly principles who sit up there in Celestia watching it all unfold? Just like M, who wrote this story and is now dead, by the way, rip. Just like the heavenly principles that have been silent for years. During the forest part, there is often an emphasis put on cycles that repeat itself, like a samsara. Now, the goddess of prophecy who set up this story worked together with two other goddesses, the goddess of creation and the goddess of fate. The goddess of creation literally created this world by making the people and objects within it. The goddess of fate later turns a lamp into a moon, which makes you think three goddesses, one moon? Oh, it's the Moon Sisters. Now, another thing about Constellation Metropole that got me thinking is the magic threads. Now, some magic threads are disconnected, and the only person who can reconnect the oracle pillars and change the fate of the toy figures is us, the traveler. The citizens of Simulanka cannot do this on their own. After connecting them again, you can fly along these, which literally turns you into a star, just like when you fall down and magically get saved, and just like the many shooting stars that we see all over the sky. Now, who's also turning into a star and flying through the sky in the beginning of the game? This also ties to what M says about turning into a star when you die, and the fact that we are not the hero of the story. The Traveler and Paimon think that at first, but then figure out that the other characters from Tevat all have their roles and purposes in this world, while we do not. Yet, just like in Tevat, we are the driving force to change the happenings of the world we find ourselves in, as the Outlander. Okay, about the magic threads, what is also called a thread? Correct. The threads of fate that are yours to revive. The people of this world cannot do this, but we as the outsider, the one from beyond this world, we have the ability to do this, to change fate. This is literally the Genshin plot. This is confirmed, by the way. Mona and Albedo mentioned that Simulanka mirrors how fate works in Tevat. I am not making this up. A lot of the Simulanka NPCs wonder what is beyond this world, and at the end of the questline, when they talk about leaving Simulanka, they talk about going to Tevat as the place beyond this world, and we see the characters repeatedly going back and forth. So if now Tevat is our fairy tale world, then which real world lies beyond that? Let me ask you, who made Simulanka? Right, the three goddesses, but these are actually members of the Hexen Circle. Now, by making this different world and creating life, they are sinning in the eyes of Celestia. And what was happening to witches in the Middle Age? They were hunted and punished for using witchcraft. Now, we know from Wolfie that N was actually punished for her sins and in turn lost her voice. Also, the members of the Hexen Circle, as we have seen multiple times, appear as objects like teacups and lamps. Now, why would they do that? Maybe this too is where the god's gaze does not fall, and their way of avoiding the heavenly principles by giving up their physical form, just like Faucillard. Simulanka also touched on Durin being the creation of Rhindaughter that was abandoned by its creator, and he was brought into this other world to literally change his life. This is like changing history in Irminsul, and the people of Simulanka should know that the bad guy was not Durin, but they don't remember. Also, according to B, the Durin of Tevat will one day rise from the dead. That's another prophecy. But remember the title of the art conquest of Natlan, Ode of Resurrection, huh? There's also this weird cube deep in the Titanium mines that flies around panicking because it doesn't know where it is and wants to get out. What does this cube remind you of? And what is literally the first thing you do to reach the end of this world? You turn the water into cubes. You turn your obstacles into cubes and later find a dark cube that is not from this world and wants to find a way out? This cannot be a coincidence. Now, what's the takeaway of this video? Well, simply put, these limited events are not just fun little stories, but actually deep lore dumps and references in disguise, and I am almost certain that there is some alluding to Natlan's story in here, and we just have to connect the dots. Now, if you're waiting for all the lore YouTubers to cover Simulanka, these videos have done this, so go check that out if you want to. This is all from me for now. Leave your theories in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! The end. Da-dun.